There's a buzz in the air post the union budget, especially when it comes to real estate. After several years, words like construction, cities, urban infrastructure all have found a prominent mention in the finance minister's blueprint. Today in our mid-year market review of Tier 2 cities of North India, our approach and focus will be a little bit different. We are not going to go through data points immediately. Rather, we are going to review key cities from the point of view of the future potential they hold. If, and it's a big if, some of the key intentions of the budget do come true. After all, the housing for all and affordable homes dream can't really be fulfilled only in the big cities of Mumbai, Delhi and Bangalore. It's the satellite towns and Tier 2 cities which will have to play a much bigger role. So let's begin with a warm welcome to our panelists today. Pranav Ansal, Vice Chairman, Ansal API, Pankaj Bajaj, MD, Eldeco Infrastructure and Properties Limited, Prateek Mittal, Executive Director, Shushma Buildtech Limited, joins us from Chandigarh, Nishant Singhal, Promoter and Director, Strategy Investors Clinic, Mudassir Zaidi, National Director, Residential Agency, Knight Frank India, and of course, Sameer Jasuja, Founder and MD of Prop Equity. Without his data, we can't really get to the bottom of it all, can we? All right, so our focus is going to be on seven key Tier 2 cities and satellite cities. These include, of course, the large capitals, Lucknow, Jaipur, Chandigarh, Ghaziabad, Bhiwadi, Neemrana, and Kundli, that's Sonipat. Some quick look at the announcements of some key budget from the budget. A sum of rupees 7,000 has been allocated for developing 100 smart cities, so that's a big one. A lot of emphasis on the development of industrial corridors linked with smart cities. Work will also happen on expressways in parallel to the development of industrial corridors. Now, the big one, and this is what everybody is also hugely excited about, setting up of a mission on low-cost housing. The budget allotted a sum of 4,000 crores to increase the flow of cheaper credit for affordable housing. But more importantly, FDI and low-cost housing has also been proposed. The biggest boost for affordable housing comes with the proposal that gives exemption from minimum built-up area and capital requirements to avail FDI for projects that commit at least 30% of the total project for low-cost affordable housing. Now, there's also something for Tier 1 and Tier 2 cities in terms of development of new airports in these cities, planning of metro projects for cities with 2 million plus population, lots and lots of announcements in the budget which are expected to flow in to key cities like Lucknow, which again has 100 crore allotted to kickstart the metro project. There's also a corpus of urban renewal which includes provisions for safe drinking water, digital connectivity, sewage treatment, etc. That's been enlarged to 50,000 crore rupees from just 5,000 crores. So imagine a 10x budget for just urban renewal. How can it not be exciting for the real estate industry? Finally, after a huge period of drought, did the real estate industry get anything in the budget? So, my first question to Pranav Ansal. Pranav, how exciting are the budget announcements, especially if you look at what could flow into state capitals and Tier 2 cities of North India?
I think it's super exciting. For the first time in the last 10-15 years, substantial benefits have been given to the sector. We've been shouting for infrastructure status for the last so many years, but I think we are still going to keep shouting for it for a while. But the other benefits which have come in are tremendously going to benefit, and I think the government and our Honorable FM realizes that 6 to 7% of the GDP is driven by real estate and infrastructure. And the emphasis and need for growth to boost the economy, it's a clear indicator. Plus the housing shortage of 22 million dwelling units, the clear focus on affordable housing. Also the REITs, which I think is a very, very important area. So I think a lot of areas have been considered. And the entire developer community and all the infrastructure people are very, very excited. Lots to be done. Capital cities really need to be boosted because these capital cities are actually not Tier 2 cities, but homes to the rural influx happening in those states where people are moving from rural areas to the capital cities of that particular state. So I think the government has realized the need for it and taken very, very exciting steps to make sure the growth happens.
All right, Pankaj Bajaj, what do you feel? Capital cities are something that we are going to be talking about today, especially Lucknow, Jaipur and Chandigarh, three big capital cities, which some of them have seen a lot of excitement in their real estate markets. Some haven't taken off as big a story as they were supposed to. But overall, do you think that the new provisions from the budget could do it? Or do you think that, you will need to see a lot more action before any of this translates into some concrete steps?
See, nothing is going to happen overnight. By the very nature of the beast, it's going to take a few years to roll out. But what's very important is there's a very remarkable shift in the mood, not only in these cities but all over the country, that some vision or some roadmap in terms of urban infrastructure has been laid out, and these cities are no exception. And many of these cities are hardly tier 2 cities anymore. Yes, of course, compared to Bombay and Delhi, they are tier 2, but the population of any of these cities is 5 million. So these are big cities in their own right, and the kind of money which has been laid out for these cities and the other cities is just huge. And if even 10% or 20% of this percolates down in terms of action in the next couple of years, I think there's going to be a remarkable change. Not only in terms of infrastructure but also the mood and the economic activity in these cities, which is what ultimately drives the real estate demand.
All right, Mudassir Zaidi, I mean, one would have expected that if with sizes of 5 million population, state capitals, wherever they would be and beyond your top metros, should be seeing a lot of real estate action. There was excitement 2006 to 2009, but most developers in many of these cities are struggling, aren't they?
Obviously, these tier 2 towns, the state capitals, are very, very important overall. The real estate scenario really went down, post 2008, and it took some while before it came back. All these cities are really important in themselves. Obviously, in the longer term, we can't have only mega cities in India, and these state capitals, as you rightly said, all nearing 5 million and above in size. So obviously, in the longer term, one needs to have as we move forward, these other cities, state capitals, have to support the overall progress that India, hopefully will make under the new government. And infrastructure and real estate has to support that for that to happen.
All right.
So no doubt about it that these cities will really play a very important role in times to come.
Okay, so let's get down to the city level. I think I'm going to start with Jaipur, state capital of Rajasthan. And there are, of course, two other cities of Jaipur or satellite towns, Bhiwadi and Neemrana. And we're going to take them as a cluster because there's been a lot of positive feedback from developers on these three markets. Jaipur, of course, has attracted many national level developers. There's a whole Mahindra city there. So Jaipur also falls in the Dausa industrial zone, which is the phase 1 of DMIC. Again, in the budget, Delhi-Mumbai industrial corridor found a big spot and a lot of focus. So, Nishant Agarwal, just outline the Jaipur market for us. Has it been an average market for investors, or has it been above average market, or do you think it's been duller than expectations?
With tier 2 cities, I think the problem is not related to infrastructure, etc., etc. I think the problem is more related to the employment opportunities. For example, if we see Jaipur or say Bhiwadi, Neemrana, etc., etc. Bhiwadi, Neemrana have been exception because there are more than 200, 250 factories and people are working and people are getting jobs. For example, Jaipur started at 1800 rupees per square feet 4 years back. It has reached only 2700 today. Jaipur has amazing infrastructure, NH8 connectivity from Delhi, etc., etc. But what has been lacking is creation of job opportunities. If we take example of say Mahindra SEZ, only Infosys campus has been announced and some 10,000 jobs have moved in that area. Now, if you're talking about development of more than 1,000 acres of real estate, 10,000 jobs are not going to be of any help. Similarly, Lucknow, similarly Chandigarh, Mohali. People were saying that it will be one of the big IT destinations after Bangalore and Hyderabad. But I think so what needs to be done is that the state governments, and I don't think there is a role of central government here, the state governments have to really focus, whether it is Uttar Pradesh or Punjab or Haryana or Rajasthan, they need to focus on job creation, bringing in factories. Actually, bringing in manufacturing sector also doesn't help so much because the per capita income in case of manufacturing sector is very low. So if the real estate sector in these areas have to really pick up and absorb the future supply of millions of units, I think the job creation is the key.
But can everything be driven by IT is the big question. So what I'm hearing is that hello, you could have a lot more manufacturing, but then if you don't bring in the service sectors, specifically IT-related service sector, then the big jump in real estate isn't going to come through. Pranav Ansal, do you agree with that?
You know, I think I totally agree with you. We lay too much emphasis on IT. Like, just to share with you, we are doing one of our biggest groups projects is in Lucknow. And we work incidentally in all these three capital cities, whether it's Mohali or Jaipur or Lucknow. In Lucknow, we are doing about 4,000 acres of land currently. We have been able to attract schools. We have just signed up with Medanta, and Dr. Train is opening his second hospital there, which is going to attract a large number of jobs. HCL has been given a IT park by the UP government, which is touching our colony, another 400 acres of land where they are putting up an IT park. But a lot of emphasis is being given by our company to non-IT businesses. So we've got Medanta, we've already opened the GD Goenka school there, we've got a Bharti Walmart operational there. We are talking to 3-4 more big players to do other sorts of activities which are non-IT related.
Right.
So I think we cannot depend purely on IT. And Lucknow, if you compare to the other two capital cities, one major distinction I would like to make is that Lucknow being the capital of UP, which has more than 20% of India's population, we are getting people and buyers from all over Uttar Pradesh. We are getting buyers from Bihar. We are getting buyers from Jharkhand. All these guys want to be in Lucknow.
Okay.
So our buyer base is totally spread out, and with such a big broad base, Lucknow has attracted all the big developers from Delhi at least.
Okay.
I think everybody is there. And
so Pranav, you're saying that between the three capitals that we're discussing today, let's go back to then just looking at the three capitals,
Yeah.
which is Chandigarh, Jaipur and Lucknow. You find the Lucknow market most exciting. Am I correct?
absolutely.
Okay. So hold your thought there. Let me go to Samir. Samir, three capitals. Let's now focus. Let's not go city-wise. I think it will be better if the viewer gets a perspective of how these three state capitals stack up in terms of the state government's intention, in terms of the manufacturing opportunities, in terms of the service industry opportunities, and then also the pull that these state capitals have from the neighboring towns or the rural, let's say, catchment area of these states. Which one would you think has the most exciting potential, Lucknow, Chandigarh, Jaipur?
Well, if you were to ask me, I think there has been unprecedented growth already in Lucknow and Jaipur in terms of supply of number of units. If you were to compare them to 2010, Jaipur and Lucknow have witnessed threefold supply in units. So I think there's a lot of action that is happening on the real estate front already in these two states. Mohali, or if you talk about Chandigarh, Chandigarh is like Delhi, where there is hardly any real estate activity that is happening. It is the nearby towns like Dera Bassi, Zirakpur, and more importantly Mohali, which are attracting real estate investments as such. If you were to talk about development, I think real estate development is happening in Lucknow in a very big way, thanks to private developers, followed by Mohali, and then in Jaipur as such. But if you were to talk about the state government initiatives, I would tend to think that Jaipur has done a fairly good job. I don't think there's too much that has happened in Chandigarh, and I think Lucknow there is definitely a lot of potential that is yet to come through.
Pankaj, before I go on to our Chandigarh guest, Pankaj, what is your assessment of these three state capitals? I mean, some markets you are in, but overall, as a real estate industry player, the state capitals pitched against each other.
An important point that you discussed a little earlier, I don't think the growth in these towns is coming from or is going to come from the growth in the IT sector. IT sector is in fact more conspicuous by its absence in these cities, and it's driven more by local manufacturing, the fact that these towns are the state administrative capitals, and most importantly they are the local economic magnets with their own catchment area. Just like Delhi is an economic magnet for all of North India, these towns are local economic magnets. Pranav mentioned that Lucknow is attracting investments from as far as Bihar and Jharkhand, and we see the same thing in our projects. And similarly in Chandigarh, you find people from all over the northern belt, Punjab or Himachal. They want to have a second home in Chandigarh with the intention of moving to Chandigarh in the long run. So there's a very strong trend of urbanization, and these regional towns are emerging as local economic magnets, and that is what is going to drive the economic growth. It is not the growth in the IT sector. Creation of jobs is very important, and jobs is
But enough jobs aren't being created, and that's, I think, the bigger discussion
I
as well.
would invite you to take a drive down NH8 and take a D2 to Bhiwadi, go to Bawal, go to Dharuheda and drive up to Neemarana. I mean, you would be amazed at the kind of job creation which is happening in this belt. The number of industries, the number of jobs which are, it's just, it's an eye-opener. And that is matched by the kind of supply which is coming in and is also getting absorbed. So sometimes, you know, in our criticism of the government, we forget that some good things are actually happening, and infrastructure is getting created, and a lot of investment and manufacturing is happening.
Okay, so Chandigarh. Now let's come down, because we've got a large developer from Chandigarh, and I'm sure he'll be able to give us a perspective on all these three micro markets which are emerging around Chandigarh: Mohali, Derabasi and Zirakpur, which Sameer mentioned. Now, if I look at the figures, there's been a clear you know, rise in the unsold stock in these three markets. And there's been a fall in absorption, which means that sales have slowed down between last year and this year. Though I must say that the prices are still increasing, not fantastic. There's not 15, 18, 20% returns, but all in the range of 10 to 14% returns. Mr. Prateek Mittal, analyze the Chandigarh and the adjoining markets for us. You know, a lot of investor interest, but really, when you come to the point of job creation, I think amongst all the state capitals, Chandigarh's got left behind the most.
I think you are right at the point where inventory levels have risen and the absorption wasn't as much. And but in the past few years, we have rarely seen new launches coming up in the region, and so the inventory levels have started to come down to the desired optimum levels, which would match the demand soon. And as far as the job creation is concerned, Chandigarh is definitely coming up as one of the good education hubs for the region. Hospitality business is picking up really well in and around Chandigarh. And with the Infosys campus being announced in Mohali, the job creation aspect is also being taken care of slowly and steadily. As our guest mentioned earlier, Chandigarh has always seen a demand from the surrounding states, Punjab, Himachal and Haryana. Yes, of course, the supply had gone way beyond the demand a few years back, but now that demand has started to come back, and we see a good time coming soon.
All right. Are other developers that confident about the Punjab market, Pankaj Bajaj?
No, Punjab, I'll be honest with you, is lagging the rest of the country in terms of growth for the last few years. And a lot of developers, including us, we entered Punjab in a big way in the period of 2006 to 2008. But I would say that the response has been lukewarm, and that has got to do with, frankly, the correlation with jobs. Not too much investment has happened in the local Punjab economy, though the government now is trying hard to attract investments. So if the jobs get created and the infrastructure gets put in, then I guess the cycle starts all over again. But at the same time, not too much supply has come in either. So I hope it gets kick-started.
Okay, so that's a really important point made by two of our panelists here, that Mohali, Derabasi, Zirakpur, the markets have been slow, but because the new launches have gone down tremendously, nobody is launching new projects, then slowly the sales or absorption has to go up, and you will see traction in prices as well. All right, you know, we've gone all over different cities, but I think the mandate still needs to be discussed in terms of what are the most exciting hotspots of future, looking at all the developments or all the new announcements in the budget, and of course the latest announcement which has come in from RBI, which says that affordable housing will be included in the definition of long-term for 25 years project financing, in which banks will be eligible for concession. So clearly, the focus of this government is affordable housing and housing for all. And as I said at the beginning of the show, that has to have a lot of spillover effect on satellite towns, state capitals, and of course, every existing tier 1, tier 2 city, even going down to tier 3 cities, because, you know, 100 new cities can't be created in the desert. There will be some along the industrial corridor, but lots of existing towns will also benefit. We'll come back and discuss all of that as we look at the state capitals and tier 2 satellite towns of North India from a real estate perspective.